Do you suffer from painful, heavy periods, PMS, mood swings, or migraines? Are you tired of being told they are just normal parts of life? Or are you afraid your child's going to suffer these symptoms too? At Vividus, the full of life company, we take the pain, misery, and confusion out of those menstrual cycles and replace them with tools of empowerment and time management so you can be Vividus. Visit embracingflowpodcast.com for more information on transforming your cycles from ow to wow.
Ever felt frustrated being told PMS, heavy bleeding, and cramping are just normal parts of life? You're not alone. I loathed my monthly cycle for decades. That all changed when I earned 3 health coaching certifications discovering something incredible. Your period is vital. It is an outward sign of your inner health, and it holds the key to unlocking your full potential. I've been there battling heavy, painful periods, and I turn them into cycles with minimal PMS and cramping. Today, I'm on a mission to share that information with you. Pour a cup of your favorite drink, get comfy, and grab your headphones as we embark on a candid and empowering journey of self-discovery. Together, we'll demystify menstrual cycles, explore cyclical living, delve into natural birth control, and guide parents through those crucial period talks with tweens and teens. It's time to break the taboo around menstruation and embrace the wisdom it holds. I'm your host, Heather Almendinger, and this is the Embracing Flow podcast.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Embracing Flow. I'd like to reintroduce our guest today, who is an expert at Embracing Flow. Welcome back, Majet. I am so glad you've decided to come back and join us again today.
Well, I am happy to be back, Heather. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, you are welcome. So before we dive into all of this juicy information that Majet can share with us, I'm going to introduce you to her. Majet Reyes is an MSLPC. She's an immigrant. She's a former paramedic and is now a trauma therapist who gives unconditional positive regard to her clients, who are mostly first responders, healthcare professionals, creatives, and BIPOC. Majet is the owner of DivaGirl Tribe, which is a lifestyle community that educates and empowers women by hosting conferences, workshops, and volunteer trips abroad. She's been in Nepal, Ghana, Belize, Peru, and India with these volunteer trips. Majet helps people find fulfillment through counseling, community, and counseling. She loves to ski, boogie board, reading, and traveling. Again, welcome back, Majet. Oh my goodness. We had such a wonderful conversation the last time you were here. I had to have you come back. And she was one of my launch partners. And she has been an absolute wonderful support of mine since we met in mid 2023. So welcome, Majet. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again. I love talking to you, Heather, because you have a lot of wisdom that a lot of women need to practice. Yeah, to have, better, better life, really, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I hear it all the time. I don't need my period. My period, what do I need it for? I'm not having any more babies.
Mhm.
And then I share with them how it's interconnected with all different aspects of our body and our life.
Mhm.
And it changes. I know that we've talked in the past about how the cycle syncing has changed your life. I know you went on a larger trip earlier this year and you spent time to relax and restore yourself. And as part of cycle syncing, you were able to sync your calendar, not just your menstrual cycle, but your energy cycle with your trip. And you came back and I noticed a difference in your posts. I noticed a difference in your personality because you were able to take that time to rest.
Mhm. Yes, 100%. If you talk to the older version of me, that person of me who was working as a paramedic, right? And being in the Philippines, it's something that I really don't talk a lot about my period. And I hide it. Right. There's a lot of shame around getting my period. Because I gotta keep up with the guys, I gotta keep up with the expectation of the school, expectation of of other people, right? I'm really putting myself last. So I would push myself, I will work harder, even though I'm in pain or I should be resting, right? Like there's no time to rest. I'm just gonna keep pushing. And I wasn't happy. right? I get things done, but now that I'm more aware and more cognizant about my period, my cycle, right? Like I try to sync my calendar and my workflow with my cycle, right? So that I can show up fully, right? For the people that I serve. So yeah, because before I'm more like angry and irritated, because I'm in pain and I'm working, right? But now I'm
Yes.
more like, yeah, like, I'm gonna take some time to rest, right? And then so that when I come back, in a few days, right? Oh, I'm just gonna be here for like 2 days. 2 days are the worst days, right? 2, 3 days at the most. And then the next day, I'm just like, yeah, bam, let's do it, right? I'm super excited. I
Yeah.
can share more, I can bring more value. I'm more creative, I'm more calm. I show up with the 8 C's, right? The compassionate, calm, clear, confident, courageous, connected, curious and creative, right? If
Yeah.
when I rest and when I have this cycle syncing, right? You're syncing my cycles with my workflow. Like I get to show up to the world for my clients, for my community with the 8 C's. So thank you so much for introducing me to cycle syncing because it's something that is just a life changer.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for listening because I can share it with people and they're just like, yeah, whatever, she's full of it. But I'm glad that you kind of took it to heart and actually put it into place in your life and you've seen a difference. Because that just shows that it does make a difference if we actually sit and listen. You were a paramedic and you
Mhm,
transferred into being a trauma therapist.
mhm.
How did you make that transition from paramedic to trauma therapist to opening up this beautiful tribe called DivaGirl Tribe? Can you take us on that journey?
Yes, I would love to. So yes, I was a paramedic. I became a paramedic after 9/11 happened. I was on track to become a nurse, but then 9/11 happened and I saw those people in uniform going into, saving lives. And I knew I didn't want to be a cop. I knew I didn't want to be a firefighter, but I also didn't know what the other group of people are or were, right? And they were paramedics. And I thought, oh, that's still around the medical field, right? And that's something that I could see myself doing. Therefore, I switch up my career and or my career track into becoming a paramedic. So 2 years of school, became a paramedic, worked as a paramedic for 13 years, and then I became a mom. So, and I became a mom to a cute little daughter. And she just, she changed my life as well. And I thought that, okay, there were a lot of not so very healthy or great things or even safety around work as a paramedic when I was working as a paramedic in my experience. And I knew that this is something that I cannot continue doing for the rest of my life or my career. And I wasn't happy anymore. And as I was looking at my daughter at that time, this baby, all I wanted was for for this little person to be happy. And I was not happy. And I thought that, okay, well, I can't just tell, a
Mhm.
baby or a person, right, to be happy and not be the example of happiness. So therefore, I started working on myself. I said, okay, well, I know for a fact I don't want to be a paramedic anymore. I didn't want to be a paramedic anymore. I needed to switch gears. Either I become a nurse, a PA, or
Mhm.
an ER doctor. Those are the three things that paramedics switch into. So if they want to pursue a different career, it's like those are the three popular ones.
Yep.
I applied to nursing school and PA school, rejected. And then I got my, that moment of like on my knees moment and asking the higher power. I'm not
Yep.
religious, but I am spiritual. And I said, you tell me how you want me to serve your people, right? You tell me. And therefore, a few days later, I got a postcard saying community and trauma counseling program at Philadelphia University, which is Jefferson University now. And I thought, okay, I work in the community and
Mhm.
I see trauma every day. Those are the two words that was just like, okay, flashing, flashing. Like, all right, let me just check this out. So I went to the university and met the teachers. I met, some of the students, former students. I was in the second cohort of this program. So it's very new.
Wow, very
Yes.
new.
Yeah. And this program is a pioneer about trauma counseling with trauma counseling. And I remember back in the days when I tell people back in 2015, 2014, people were like, what's trauma? I don't have any trauma. Right. And then now it's like a hashtag. Everybody talks about trauma and healing your trauma. Right.
Yep.
So back then I was like, people roll their eyes at me saying that, like, I don't have any traumas. Like, so, they need to change, like stuff like that. So anyways, so I went into this program thinking that, okay, this, community and trauma, I have experiences in this. I would love to be in this program. So I went there and it just went so smoothly. There were no like there were hurdles, however, there was like no resistance,
Yep.
right? So I walked in there, enjoyed everything, learned, and I also went through my own healing from that master's program. So it was a master's program for community and trauma counseling. As I was going through that, I'm a new mother and I'm also healing, like,
Mhm.
my own traumas. And, and that kind of started my, personal development, my getting a therapist, working on my own trauma therapy. And then a diva girl came along. So,
I love
so
that title, by the way. I love that title.
and then DivaGirl came along, and then and this is when I met my mentor, who is actually the founder of DivaGirl in Canada.
Okay.
And it started in Canada, and I thought that this group of women, they're happy, they're doing what they love, and they're making money from it. And I'm like, I want more of these, right? And for somebody whose background was all about wearing uniform and blues, and and being around mostly men, right? And I'm like, I don't really know. I didn't know any women speakers, business owners, right? Coaches. Like I didn't know anybody really. And my mentor helped me, Laura Furtado, helped me create my own community in the Philadelphia area. So I am the first American franchise owner of DivaGirl back in those days, right? Back in 2014. And she helped me create a space, help me plan the conferences, help me look for speakers, taught me how to get sponsors and vendors. And then from then on, from like, a little conference to like every year is just getting bigger and bigger. And up to a point in 2020 when Laura stepped down as owner, and I am now the owner of Diva Girl. And we're
Wow.
bigger here in the US than in Canada. Actually, they don't have Diva Girl anymore in Canada, but we still do have Diva Girl members from Canada. But now we're planning our tenth conference for next spring, so or 2024. So that's kind of like how I ended up becoming a trauma therapist and a Diva Girl. So
I
yeah,
love it. I love I I did attend the Diva Girl conference in May. We met at the beginning of May in 2023, and I remember I was told by one of the other ladies that was at the networking group that we were at the meeting. She's part of my chapter, and she's like, "You need to talk to Majet. The two of you are like in the same space, and you heard what I did, and I heard about the conference. I'm like, I need to be at that conference. I need to go to that conference." And I went to that conference. I'm not far from Philadelphia, but that then opened up so much more. The resources that were there, the Diva girls that I met are just absolutely phenomenal. Um,
Mhm.
and it covers they cover the gamut. It's from hygiene through breath work and just trauma release through breakups and and what you bring. And then the um there's one that is doing the non-traditional healthcare where she's getting help outside. It's a nonprofit, and it just there are just so many. I had so much fun, and I had such a hard time picking which different segments I wanted to go and visit because there were so many I wanted to go to. It was an amazing event. If anyone is in the Philadelphia area, you've got to check out this show that Majet runs. It just is absolutely amazing. Um, do you have I wanna bring in, like, your trauma
Mhm.
experiences and stuff like that, because you do work with healthcare professionals and you do just the counseling. Is there something that you come across more often than than not? Like, is there more of a specific trauma that you come across, uh, uh, than other stuff? And is it possibly connected to the cycle or even pulling it into flow with your life and how to kind of work through that?
Most of the people I work with, right, are struggling with anxiety and depression and then complex PTSD, right?
Okay.
Now, many of us, if not all of us, have had traumas in our lives in many different capacities, right? There are the small traumas that they call, and they have the big traumas that people call. So basically, it's like how I describe the small T's and the big T's is that, um, big T's is something a lot of us are familiar with, right? It's the shock traumas, right? The
Hmm.
the war, the assault, the loss, and natural disasters, right? Like so there's a lot, the common traumas that most people know. And then there's the small traumas, or what I call relationship traumas, right? Or attachment traumas, right? And a lot of us, it's not all of us, have had that experience, right? Those feelings of abandonment, neglect, rejection, right? Shame. Oh, shame is the biggest one, right? And then the guilt, and the sadness and the fear and stuff like that. And these are like, like a lot of us have felt. All
Hmm.
of us have felt all this,
Yes.
right? And trauma is not necessarily the actual event that happened, but more of like the emotion that came up for us when that event was happening, right? So the emotion that came up for us when that event was happening, it gets stored in our bodies, right? And then if we don't feel safe enough, if we have never found a space wherein we can process that feeling that came up for us, then we carry that trauma with us, as we get
Hmm.
older, right? So therefore, if we never had that space, that feeling, right, that emotion that was never processed, that happened when we were, by this event that happened, right, came up when that event happened, will get triggered.
Hmm.
And when that gets triggered, right, and then this is how we felt, right, that emotion come up, right, and then and then we're like we react, right? And a lot of times we don't know what to do with it, right? We don't know, like, where did that come from? Why am I being affected? Why am I angry? Or if we're not asking that question, the people, our loved ones, will ask that question. Why are you angry about that? Why are you getting? Why am I getting this reaction from you? Right? So that's the trauma that we carry with us. We have a lot of those. Like, and a lot of
Yes.
us have those, and that's the complex traumas, right? Complex that we carry around with us, and we respond to that. When we get triggered, we have the fight or flight, or the
Hmm.
freeze or fawn, right? Those were the reactions that come up because of our complex traumas, right? So what was the question? So when it comes to women, I'm like, you have no one to get me started talking about trauma. I cannot talk. Just like when you start talking about cycle thinking, like, oh my God, Heather, tell me more. You know, so, um, so when it comes to hormonal stuff, right? And
Yep.
especially when it comes to women. And just being more mindful, right? Like tuning more into what you need as a person, you first, right? I'm gonna go back to that message, and your message of like really taking care of you, right?
Mhm.
So when we start to feel, sad or depressed, or when we feel anxious, right? Those are the common struggles that I have with my clients. We start to feel disconnected from ourselves, right? So
Yes.
because we have been trying to please other people, we've been trying to compartmentalize, we're just getting so far, far away from, excuse me, from who we truly are, right? And the joys, right, of
Yes.
ourselves. Because that is the self. That is who we truly are when when we feel joyful. Like life
Mhm.
is meant to be, you know, to feel good, right? It's
Yes.
like it's not just suffering. We're not just meant to survive life. We're supposed to have joyful moments in our lives. And when we don't have a lot of those, we're gonna feel very disconnected, and we're gonna start living our lives, sad or angry or frustrated or anxious, right? Or fearful. So therefore, we need to just pause, right? And to be able and take care of ourselves first, right? We need to quietly, we need to start looking at our authentic self and how we can show up more to the world, as our authentic self with the 8 C's, the one that I have been talking about too, right? So, because when we take care of ourselves, when we connect with ourselves more, then we show up to the world with the 8 C's, which are calm, clear, connected, curious, compassionate, creative, confident, and courageous. So those are, that's what I help my clients with, right? When they start to feel anxious or depressed, like let's reconnect with yourself, your authentic self. So that comes with being able to pause, being able to take care of yourself, right? And really finding the joys, right? The
Mhm.
activities, the people, the surroundings, the environment that brought you joy in the past. So, and it depends on the person, right? How disconnected they are from their true
Yep.
self, and those who are just like a little bit farther, right? Some people don't even understand or know what makes them feel joyful, and some people have an idea, but they haven't done it in a while. So yeah, so it really coming back to like reconnecting to oneself.
And yes, and it's leaning in. It's leaning into
Yeah.
what our bodies are trying to tell you, our because it communicates the trauma. It wants to heal from that trauma. It doesn't want to hold on to that trauma. It wants to release it, and you feel that trauma in different parts of your body. So it definitely resonating with where you're at, and it does come up in our cycles. It really truly does. Partners and those that menstruate, this trauma shows up in our cycles in different ways. Where can we get information or find you to follow you, to get more tools, to even possibly work with you, hear more about this DivaGirl Tribe, um, and all the wonderful things that you're doing right now?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about my work and my community. They can always go to my website at resilientmindworks.com or divagirltribe.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, Divagirl Community, or Philly Trauma Counselor.
All right. Thank you so much, Majet, for joining us today. I love having you on the show. I love spending time with you. Your energy is just so contagious and magnetic. If anybody gets into the Philadelphia area and gets a chance to meet Majet, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I look forward to seeing her and like being in her presence. It's just absolutely amazing. Before we go, can you give us any wise words of wisdom to take with us?
Yes. So I would go back to like learning how to reconnect with yourself. And reconnecting with yourself is the best gift that you can give your inner child, right? You yourself as a young person, and you can give your present self right now, right? Because when you heal yourself, healing includes loving you, then you're also healing and loving the generations before you and the generations to come, right? So take care of you, love yourself more so that you can spread the love to others.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And wow, what amazing words of wisdom to end on. Thank you so much, Majet, for taking us on this enlightening journey into just different types of trauma. So we are aware that those triggers are from past trauma. I appreciate you being here and sharing that with us.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, Heather. It's always a delight being in your presence as well. Mhm.
Thank you. And all of the links that Majet mentioned can be found in the show notes. Thank you so much, listeners, for spending your time with us today. If you found a nugget of wisdom or a moment of empowerment, my mission is accomplished. Do you know someone that could use some of this information? Please share Embracing Flow with them. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and as always, be vividous. See you soon.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Embracing Flow. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, submit a rating and review, and share it with your friends. Visit my website to receive your free PDF on 4 ways to decrease PMS. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and as always, be vividous.